my biggest regret is probably that I was in a very, very long relationship for 7 years. The person was amazing, but I fell out of love at some point, which I tried to communicate, but it was quite difficult. So I stayed way longer than I should have stayed in it. And I think for me the regret is that it involves another person. So it's not just about me, but it's about like dragging someone along instead of setting them free and setting myself free in order to kind of like make room for other people and other experiences.
Holding on to things, stories you tell about yourself. Like, I used to genuinely believe that there's something wrong with me that meant I couldn't be happy. And looking back, that just limited me so much and kept me in, you know, really dark places. Then why would I do that? But it becomes the reality you create for yourself. So I guess, yeah, I regret holding on to that. Although if I hadn't done that to myself, then, you know, everything would have just been roses all along. Maybe not, but yeah, I'm glad I've been through it.
Not believing in myself. I have missed a lot of opportunities because I did not believe I could do it without even trying.
I didn't really know about sex or anything, but an older man was having sex with me and I realised that I was probably pregnant. I was trying to get my friends to hit me in the stomach to try and miscarry. I didn't tell anyone and the baby died. I'd say talk to your mum. They've been through it all. A woman knows a woman.
Not going overseas to study earlier. I've loved traveling since then, and I think I would have found my voice and my personality and my identity a little bit earlier if I had gone overseas earlier as well. I don't think I would change a lot more. I'm 35, but I'm Asian, so I'm going to look like this for a long time.
I think my biggest regret would be not appreciating family enough. I feel like I lost a lot of family from things I've done.
My biggest regret is wasting my time on small pleasures instead of focusing on what I actually had to do at the time.
My biggest regret is not trying with my full heart and doing things half of the way.
Probably not saying goodbye to my granddad before he died. I was actually at a friend's house when he passed away. I missed the mark a little bit. He was in a hospice, so couldn't quite see him. But yeah, I'm making up for it now. Now I'm studying nursing. I'm at the end of my second year.
Not being able to say no and not saying no enough. You need to prioritise your mental health and prioritise your workload. So I feel like being a people pleaser is like a really big regret.
I think the biggest regret of my life is not accepting myself for who I really am earlier in my life, because I feel like I spent like a lot of time in my childhood and in my youth like sort of like denying myself who I really am and like trying to be someone else and like struggling with eating disorders and everything. And I think it's just important to know that like the people that really love you will stick around for you.
All of the times I have not allowed myself to make mistakes. We have a tendency for self-loathing, and you have a tendency to judge ourselves very harshly. And I believe that in order to be happy, a lot of us need self-acceptance. And that has been a big step for me. And so in order to be happy, I need to be able to let go of the idea that I am a bad person inherently. And I need to be able to love myself beyond the mistakes that I make.
When I was 20, I went for an eye operation in London and it went wrong. Yeah, and I lost the eye. I lost one of my eyes. That's my biggest regret.
When I was way too young, I got into a relationship which I shouldn't have. I was not ready for that, and that person did not respect me, and then he did stalk me, and that really created like a trauma to me. And then I still, when I think about it, it still scares me. So yeah, so I think that's one of the things which I shouldn't have got into.
It's probably starting things later than I should have.
I broke up with my boyfriend 2 months ago because I'm living here and he was living in Spain, far away from my family and my friends. But
for about 2 years, I was had a bit of an ED or ED habits, and I was letting my weight and the way I looked determine how I saw myself rather than characteristics about my life and like things I've been through. I wasted a lot of time during those years, missed a lot of experiences with like family because I was focusing more on the food and like my weight and everything. But I'm in a better place now, and I just like to say, don't see yourself based on just looks alone.
I have been in therapy for 2 years now, and I think if you have asked me this question 2 years ago, I actually couldn't choose a regret because I had so many. But today I can think about one because actually therapy helps me a lot to just accept what I've been through, and I can't change it anymore. So I'm just focusing on the present and the future to just try my best to be happy and be in peace with what I have experienced.
Not being as emotionally available to my sister as she needed me to be.
Not believing my best is enough. There is nothing better I can ever ask for out of myself. Even if I can do it, it's not something I'm gonna do right there, right then. So I start doubting myself and I don't do it instead of just, you know.
Because I'm only 21, I don't have that many regrets in life.
I don't regret the decisions that I take in my life. I'm pretty happy with the things that are going right now.
Not telling like the people I love the most how much I care.
I feel like my biggest regret is wasting time.
Life regret. I don't really have time for regrets. I think it's a fool's errand to look back and lament on the things that could have been or should have been. You have to keep looking forward as to what it could be. Thinking about how you get to the place that you want to be at, rather than thinking of some perceived injustice. You know, there's probably it's not even probably how you actually perceived it.
Not being nicer to my family while I lived at home. Obviously, I don't think I'll ever live at home again. So, growing up, I don't think I appreciated them as much as I could have. Yeah, so that's probably my biggest regret.
I have always relied on God and that His plans are always perfect. However, I have always felt like I haven't planned much ahead. I don't plan much ahead. So one of the regrets I would consider would be coming here because I didn't plan it very well. So now that culture shock and the after consequences that have happened here, so I am maybe rethinking that.
When I was a child, I didn't start learning how to play music and to play an instrument or to draw.
My biggest regret is probably fighting with my mum. A couple of years ago, we just spent the whole time fighting, and you need to be kinder to your parents. You don't know what they may be going through. Even if it feels like you are the most reasonable one there, just try understand from different points of view.
Not being able to speak to my grandma because she's Russian and I never got to learn Russian fluently. It's kind of one thing that I regret never learning.
I wouldn't look at regrets as a negative thing, but if I had to pinpoint a regret, I would think about not thinking in the present enough. Money, job, education, it's all about the future, and rightly so, it's good. But at the same time, it stops you thinking in the present. You don't capture them in the same way that you do.
I'm now going through a cancer process at the moment. If I could change anything, my son looks at me as someone who he wants to be, and I wish that I never ever took a cigarette.
Probably trusting boys over and over again repeatedly, giving them chance after chance, and they just take advantage every time. So.
When I was 15, there was a massive grassroots movement at the time against a tuition hike. Sadly, I was a bit of a contrarian, and as a result, I failed to stand in solidarity with that movement.